child, when I was a boy, everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Plumgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Plumgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Well, for you people that don't want to die of cancer and are in this fight, go ahead and wake up. It's morning. Get out of your dogma snuggies and let's get to work in a serious way. We're going to talk about the Fukushima cover-up today and exactly how it played out, and not, you know, a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, and some FOIA documents. No, we're going to talk about it from the inception. We're going to talk about they went directly out of the Chernobyl playbook, and the one thing that I've been right on the money from day one, right down to predicting my own leukemia. By the way, 32 months ago today, right here where I'm at McQuack B, the worst hospital in the United States, I was given 2 months to live by multiple doctors. But we're going to talk about how they pulled off the Fukushima cover-up, which they have. But the calm before the storm, this is not Chernobyl. This is Fukushima. And I'm going to hypothesis what I think is going on at Fukushima. I'm going to hypothesize what I think is going to happen at Fukushima. And we're going to talk about the so-called corium. We're going to talk about my early reports from day one as an anti-nuclear long before it ever happened. I did many, many lectures for years saying that, Kevin, you keep predicting this nuclear catastrophe, what is going to happen? And for years I said it's going to happen at San Onofre, Diablo Canyon, or it's going to happen on the coast of Japan for decades. Just logic, reason, you know, earthquake zones from hell, shitty old worn-out reactors, no political will, an ignorant populace that has been dummied down via the work ethic. We're going to talk about the war machine. We're going to talk about Alan Greenspan, the greatest terrorist in United States history. We're going to talk about America being in denial and the fake Christians who are really devils that have taken the field, the evangelicals and more. We're going to talk about the whole complex. But first and foremost, the Fukushima cover-up. When Fukushima happened, there was a piece of me. Now, that first video that I went psychotic, went crazy on it because, you know, I woke up in the middle of the night and saw it. You know, I'd fall asleep when I did have a television. I haven't had a television since, and I don't watch television. I knew in my gut, in my soul, this fight that I've been in my entire life, my path. I'm like, oh no. But a little piece of me says, oh yeah, this is the end of the nuclear cartel. But we knew what happened. They told us could not happen. When we fought this in the 70s, and I fought it tooth and nail, cost me my wife, cost me my long time girlfriend, you know, the people that I was involved with, my career on Wall Street, because I was relentless on this. I refused to become popularized. I refused to go with the sheep. And I watched this evolution. The day Bill Clinton, Walmart Clinton signed NAFTA, I knew, I felt like I was shot in the guts, that we went back to the feud house. When did the cover-up happen? The machine, we're going to talk about pre-November 4th, 2013, and post-November 4th. And why is that such a big day? And I think my path, it just shows how crazy my path has been and how intuitive and how my subconscious has sucked so much of this up. And I've been so Cassandra-like on this. My sources that I had, my knowledge that I had, which so many of them have dried up now because of the cover-up. I'm standing in front of the White House on November 4th. There's plenty of videos showing me. I'm standing right there with John Anthony Fairhurst. I was there all day. I'd been there for a couple days in D.C. I was coaxed to come by John Anthony Fairhurst for the Million Masked Man March. And he picked me up at the airport, I believe in November the 2nd. So people were with me, so called themselves environmentalists, Nader's group, Beyond Nuclear's group. All these people, if you've never been to Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C. is overcompensated, ugly people trying to overcompensate for their ugliness. That's all it is. And the activist world, they have houses. The only real house was the Dorothy Day house, which Greg and Michael, you know, the Megan Rice that are in prison, came out of, which, by the way, I was at the house, their house. I walked to their house. I went to church with them on Sunday, the small group that's still there, which is very teeny and small. They have activist house all over D.C. These people conned me to stay with us. We're incredible environmental activists, which they are not. Here's the problem. Beyond Nuclear, they're based there. Nader's people, they're all based there. They've been co-opted. They've been funded, and they just pander to their funding. And they have these houses that were donated by philanthropists. These philanthropists left these great big houses for causes. And that's the point. My point is to all you people that have a lot of money out there, you think you're going to leave an endowment. You think you're going to leave it and, you know, write a charter in, and that money is going to be used the way you fully intend it. No, it's not. It's going to be robbed, and it's proved. So anyway, they know I've got cancer. They know I'm sick. You know, I have to sleep in a warm, comfortable, healthy place. They had me on the floor in this place. I gutted it out the first time. This is all they were a bunch of dirty hippie liar. I mean, these people were hypocrites to the tent. These people were frauds. I ended up sleeping on a freaking park bench. I mean, it was so outrageous, but I've been there for a couple days. You know, Lenny and Karen Lamb saved me in Baltimore, come and got me. Thank goodness, my small little army that is everywhere, the real deal. So, I get word on the 3rd that Ernest Moxie Fuel, the head of the Department of Energy, is in Fukushima, Japan. And no, it was never reported, very secret. I'm like, whoa, what's he doing over? Then I get word that the TEPCO executives, the nuclear cartel from Japan, has been sanctioned to the White House, has been sanctioned to D.C. So I'm thinking, are they going to go to the Department of Energy or are they going to go to the White House? So I immediately had Bobby Wan himself, the great blogger, actually dropped me off the morning of November 4th at the Department of Energy. By the way, I have videos inside the Department of Energy that I can't put up. I run by my attorney, and he says you can't put those up. So I haven't. You know, I'm not going to do something stupid. I mean, I do what I do. I went into the Department of Energy because I want an historical record, and then I realized, I wonder if they're going to be sanctioned to the White House itself. So we spent all morning at the White House with Camellia. You know, she's from the House. Her protest is still there. She hugged me, kissed me. I have great interviews with her. She's amazing. He was amazing, Thomas. You know, Thomas passed. Thomas was a great activist. He was the real deal. She lives in that house, and that house that he left is being co-opted by a bunch of phony, mooching, fake activists. That's the problem with the activism world. It's completely gone. Until we get middle-aged, African-American, white men, tough guys to say, hey, I'm an environmentalist and stand up. I mean, in Utah, I call myself an environmentalist. White, middle-class, back-ass hillbilly. You know what I'm up against every day? Oh, you pussy ass. I mean, physical you do not believe what I deal with a day. But I stand up. Because for a real men love their children, love their grandchildren, fight for the environment. That's what a real fucking man is. The rest of them are fucking, oh God, let's go there, phony fucking fraud fucker. Let's go play golf. Yeah, fuck you. So, I'm there. A young one of my small army comes right up to me. Hey, Kevin, here they come. And he's over there. He's got his video cam. We have videos of it. They're going right into the White House that day. I'm standing right in front with, by the way, a laser beam on my forehead. John Andrews Furret with a laser beam on our foreheads. Snipers on top of the White House. They don't fuck around there no more. And all you lunatics that think you can go, security is unbelievable there. The head of White House security come up, talk to me. I had a long conversation with him. That's the only reason we got the police escort. I got the police escort down Constitution Avenue on a Tuesday. Nobody gets that. Because of my talking to Capitol Police in plain clothes, my talking to Sands, the head of White House security. Hey, look, we're on your side. We're on your side. We don't want you to die cancer, And so many of their family members, they've had young family members. By the way, one of his young family members in Marin County, San Francisco, just recently passed of leukemia. I changed the way they thought. I really did. When we're standing at the White House Memorial, there's three factions fighting. I mean, they're going at it. And I'm like, fuck all of you. I've been sleeping on the bench. Me and a Cal Berkeley freaking professor. It was us two, sleeping on a bench with the little red fox running around us. That little guy. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going. Fuck it. You guys can sit here and fucking fight like the fucking acting like fools. Let's go. So I just went, and the entire mass, which was right around 5,000 people. It's been reported thousands. So much bigger than that. And worldwide, it was many, many millions. Millions. Marched down there with a police escort. As they came in, and you can watch this, and I reported it that day. You watch this propaganda machine is going to pivot because it wasn't working. Now, by the way, the media, the fascism laws that were put into place in Japan happened in September of 2012 is when it happened. Now, there was prosecution all over in Japan. I had so many sources from Japan. Kathy Iwan can confirm all this as she came home. So many people were trapped in Japan. The only reports they were getting were from me on YouTube. That's exactly why we were able to pack the San Onofre hearings. The story was so compelling, me screaming, ranting, and raving about Fukushima, telling it in truth in hardcore detail, then I get leukemia and I'm in a bone marrow transplant center. People were watching. I mean, my viewership was off the hook. I had developed so many incredible relationships with powerhouses in Japan all over. I had thousands of freaking emails daily from Japan. All of a sudden, when the law went down in September, I believe it was the 26th, 2012, boom, not one email. This is the greatest cover-up in human history, bar none. Now, they went right out of the Chernobyl playbook. Now, remember, Chernobyl, when it happened, it got reported just like Fukushima on the propaganda machines. CNN, the whores they are. And if you don't believe that this is malice with intent to kill, you look up exactly 2 weeks. Remember, Anderson Cooper and Sanjay Gupta were over there. They were over there. The wind was blowing out, and they're saying, should we get... And remember, they had this Walls character from MIT, this propaganda whore. Nobody was reporting it as a freaking meltdown. Nobody. Nobody was reporting that it blew up in the core and went into the atmosphere except for me. I was the only one on the face of the earth reporting this in detail. Yeah, some lunatic on RT claimed it, but no, not in detail like I told it. I told it in incredible detail all the way from day fucking one. Historical documented history on Balco. So, as I'm going along, we packed the San Onofre hearing because of me. I mean, I had hundreds of people coming up to me. Oh, my God, your work. Hundreds of people in Japan giving me incredible. I mean, right from the royals. You got to realize that Japan still is a feudal system. You show guns over there. I mean, you're talking royal families over there. In China, royal families. We're even seeing it in Scandinavia as we've turned into this feudal system as Fox News has led you around by the leash. They're the propaganda machine for the feudal system. They're the Queen's propaganda. Rupert Murdoch, The whole herd of them, the British invasion, we've turned into feudiles, and Fox News plays you like the fiddle that you are. They really are the problem. I believe that it's co-op by the CIA. I call it Operation Foxconn. Remember in 2000, the smaller, leaner military looked at the military. And by the way, quit calling American soldiers heroes. Stop it. My father, the Semper Fi Marine, my D-Day uncle who just passed, all of the balls, this is coming right out of their lips for decades. They're not heroes. They're victims. They're victims of a socioeconomic system that you have to have a job. We send our jobs to China. There are no fucking jobs here. Half of America is not even working. You know, that's not my data. That's the government's fucking data. Participation rate 54%. So the cover-up retooled on November 4th. I was there. We got videos of TEPCO coming right in. I'm standing right there. So they went right out of the Chernobyl playbook. They've been going out of the Chernobyl playbook. It wasn't working at first because there were guys like me out here. There were plenty of YouTubers and vloggers with social media. I'm like, not this time. They're not going to pull it off this time. We have YouTube, the greatest genre in human history. And so many people don't even realize it's the greatest genre in history. You got guys who have these goofy, quirky, YouTube channels that get, 50,000 views on every video that are fucking totally worthless. But here's the thing that people don't understand about YouTube, this most powerful genre in human history. You can't take it back. And all these people with this huge, giant viewership, it's just a perfect thumbprint that shows the ignorance of America. The Earth's going to end, you're going to get struck by a meteor, buy gold, the stock market's going to zero. You can't take it back. You think you're going to take those channels and videos down. Somebody's got them, just like Sanjay Gupta. He goes over there, okay, they come home. Sanjay Gupta, MD. Now remember, this is a practicing neurosurgeon who took the oath. This is malice. This is against the law. I'm going to sue him. I'm going to sue CNN. I'm getting stronger and healthier. It's time to take this to a new level. I'm going to get a small army with some people with some money, with some clout, whatever, and we're going to attack this. We're going to go after them. We're going to freaking make the nuclear cartel pay for the crimes they've committed. These are crimes. These are the greatest crimes against humanity in human history. He comes home March 26th, or 25th. I think it was the 26th. Sanjay Gupta, MD, Saturday morning. I got it on. He pulls one of the greatest crimes, I think, in human history. He has this guy named Donald Weber on his show from Michigan who says he's been in Chernobyl taking photographs for years. He's supposed to be an artist, which this punk-ass kid needs to be in a jail cell, too. Chernobyl's an evacuation zone from hell and will be forever, at least 50,000 years. Saying that, it wasn't that bad, it's cleaning up, just pure lies. Had a doctor from Japan on saying, radiation doesn't kill people, it saves people, and he went on this incredible malice intent. Well, I go crazy about it. Do video after video. They take it down. You can't find it on YouTube. You can't find the transcript. So I did dozens, if not hundreds of videos. Find it. It took me a year of doing hundreds of videos. Finally, sure shit, CNN insider, whistleblower inside. Boom, here's the transcript. As soon as I read it online, boom, a few days later, it's right back on CNN's website. We have it. It's malice. This is the cover-up that started from day one, right out of the Chernobyl playbook. Now remember this, when Chernobyl happened in 1986, April 26th, as I lived it to hell, that song was written in 86. It was reported just like Fukushima was. But then, we go on Balco. We go down. And the propaganda machine, the Cold War thesis, the Gorbachev, Reagan thesis. Remember, Reagan says, let's do it. The astrologer told him, let's do it. Nancy was anti-nuclear. Gorbachev hardlined it. By the way, Gorbachev's wife died from Chernobyl. Leukemia, AML. So, we didn't know in America. We had no idea that they drafted 500,000 men in Russia. Now, the first group that went into Russia to entomb it was 30,000 men. You could see the videos of the Battle of Chernobyl, Broke This All Loose, that award-winning great documentary, but that didn't come out until 2006. As the greatest line ever spoken, maybe in the history of humanity. Allah says that, Allah says that in the line. The greatest lie to come out of Chernobyl was the greatest thing to come out of Chernobyl was not the meltdown, was not plutonium, was not cesium. It was life. And this was before Fukushima happened. The writing was on the wall. Always the writing on the wall. So we tell this tale. So the cover-up goes in earnest in Russia. The first men go in there, they get to the corium. They're going in 15-second intervals, 10-second intervals by dozens with full suits on. They actually get to the corium, because it blew up. Well, they actually got it. They mined under it with 500,000 men. 580,000 to be exact. Mined it. Underneath it, used a slurry to entomb it. They entombed it. Very shortly thereafter, now, did they entomb it all the way? No. But they slowed it down dramatically. Still leaching in the atmosphere? Absolutely. This New York Times article, they're going, oh, look at this clothing we're going to put on 27, 28 years later. It's such propaganda bullshit. Remember, we're up against the IAEA. We're up against the nuclear cartel. These people are the richest people on the face of the earth. This is the machine we're up against. You can buy anything you want into Google. You want to be in the top 10 news stories for the day? Write a check. You got enough money? You'll go in. The propaganda machine is widespread across the spectrum. And the black and yellow journalistic hordes that play ball. All in. All in. So the cover-up goes in earnest here in the United States under the mantra of still the Cold War. So no one here in the U.S. knows. How did we find out? Femen in Europe. Is Europe even... I mean, people in Europe didn't really even... They knew, but they didn't. Now, Scotland and England, you know, because they got hammered so hard where it rained the next day. They got so hammered. They're still, I mean, well, forever. It'll be... That's why somehow people think, what, it's just, well, it'll go away. No, it won't go away. The half-life of plutonium is, you know, unmarked equals 24,500 years. That's forever. So... They did the cover-up of Fukushima directly right out of the playbook. Now, think about this. You don't think there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of Japanese workers at Fukushima? Yes, there is. They're on the backside. I've seen the photographs of the buses. It's being run by the Japanese mob. Now, Sam, who worked in the industry, who I'm close friends with, a great activist in Connecticut, you know, he has been in the spent fuel pools at Fukushima before Fukushima ever happened. You know, so many people have. And, you know, I've talked to multiple people that work in the industry. When you go over there, you have to take this. They send a list. The Japanese mob requires you to bring this. Cases of Royal Crown whiskey, this. They run the show. Well, they're running the show. Now, you think about this. Now, the United States, Barack Obama goes over there, and he says it himself. These treaties were signed long before I was born. He's absolutely right. The treaty signed in 1945, after we dropped Little Boy and Fat Man, were signed that we are Japan. They're occupied. They're occupied forever by the United States. That's what we call the spoils of war. They're us. Elections. They don't have no elections. They're appointed. They're free. I mean, he becomes anti-nuclear when he was pro. It's funny. When they're in office, they're pro-nuclear. As soon as they get out, they're anti-nuclear. Because they are ran not by their populace. The protests in Japan are the biggest maybe in human history. Have been the whole time. No media reports any of it. Not one iota. The black and yellow journalistic hordes have played ball. Why? They want their careers. That's why. They come out and report Fukushima. They're done. Not only are they done, you know, maybe they'll be Michael Hastings. Who knows? But they play ball. Because the board of directors of CNN, Fox News, they're the same people. They're the same so-called elitists, the royals. So they're in there. There's no doubt. I have reports from inside, and I have a lot of strong people that I'm involved with. Now, one of the really strong professors that I was involved with is in prison. Now, I graduated the #1 school of business in the United States. In the 90s, taught there. The year I graduated, I think there was 27 grads. 14 of them were Japanese. They're from the royals. They're children. The royals abroad, that's what they do. I don't care if they're in Saudi Arabia, Japan, China, whatever. We're all full of China now. They find where the real best schools are, and they send their children there. We were the number one, Clyde Cooley, the genius. We were the number one in maybe the world. So I have relationships with those people. When Fukushima happened, and they came right out of the Royal Front, they fled Japan with their families and their children. They left. They're still gone, by the way. They're in Hong Kong and Brazil. They have the money to flee. Now, it has to be said that we took the blow here. It's much safer to be in Tokyo right now than it is in San Francisco. By far. The wind was blowing out over us, and we got hammered, whether the corium went up or not. And there's no doubt. I reported it that part of the corium went up the day that it happened. I'm the only one. I didn't wait for 3 years. I didn't wait for 7 months for a FOIA document. I knew that it blew up, and it wasn't the tsunami. I knew the earthquake. They blew up. Now, I believe there's still corium there, and I believe it's leaching the atmosphere, but are they underneath it? My guess is they probably are. I don't know this for a fact, but we know for a fact the mob's been busing by tens of thousands of homeless people. They make them sign full disclosure contracts. They give them a little bit of cash up front. They go in and they're using people that have no family. They're using, the populace has been running this. It's the same as the draft, same as the military here. Take all the jobs, send them to China. Alan Greenspan orchestrated this perfectly, beautifully, to where you have to join the military for a job, and you become the victim. These people that are going in and are undermining Fukushima, and there's no doubt in my mind, they're in there digging underneath. They have been the whole time. It's the propaganda machine. There is a giant sealed zone over there. Armed guards. You don't get in. There's no fly zones over the top. Google can't get shots of it. We're seeing the shots from the ocean going inland. We're not seeing anything from the backside. There's no doubt in my mind they're in there. Have they got underneath it? I don't know, but I think they're playing right out of Chernobyl, not just on the operation trying to entomb it, and they haven't entombed it. Just like CNN's come out just a few minutes ago and says, we're going to send this robot. Again, more propaganda out of Livermore. There's a company in California that says, we're nuclear clean. No, you're fucking not. They've sent dozens of robots in. It's too hot. They melt the fucking robots. It's just all going to plug the leak. Yeah. See, this is how they play. Just like this guy in Santa Barbara. We have his transcript. It's all lies. The American populace just goes for it. We're going to plug the leak with a robot. Okay, it's okay. Cancer, the new norm. We're all going to die of cancer. Now remember this, post-Fukushima. The life expectancy in Russia, the giant region, and Europe. I mean, I like the European deniers. The Tsar bomb, Chernobyl. The life expectancy in the whole Belarus, Ukraine, the whole area has dropped dramatically post-Fukushima. I believe the life expectancy is on 53 years old there now. It says, they drink a lot. Well, that's American propaganda. Well, not American. That's the nuclear cartel propaganda. So the reports I'm getting, there's over 10,000 workers that are already dead from Chernobyl. Now, remember when I reported. Now, think about this. I reported that the head of the Fukushima 50 was going to die before anybody had any idea. Now, how did I know that? I took a lot of shit for reporting that. His mom. Yeah, I was getting emails that's how intimate I was with this fight. I was getting emails, and she's, I got an email that says, hey, he's going to die in the next few weeks. He's got cancer. And then, of course, they come, it's unrelated. Yeah, really? And he dies, the show called Fukushima 50. So they played the Fukushima 50. They played the spent fuel port. They played every propaganda there was. But guys like me would counter them toe-to-toe, face-to-face, and I was full of cancer. And people believed me because I developed credibility. I had incredible credibility, still do. Just like you people that put all this crazy madness on YouTube. Gold's going to freaking 10,000. No, it's not. No, it didn't. The Dow's going to 3,000. No, it didn't. The ISO's going to hit freaking there. No, it didn't. You're going to be viewed in history for the crackpot freaking lunatics. I don't care if you got 10 million views a day. Credibility, really, in an artistic way, in a real way, the fewer the better. It's really true. It's really true. To be right is to be lonely. It's always been that way, and contemporary culture will slowly pick up on you later, but we don't have time this time. So they've been in there, there's no doubt. We've seen the photographs of the white buses, by the hundreds of white buses every day taking these guys in there, just like Chernobyl. So they retooled the entire propaganda machine November 4th. You could see it. Immediately, the Post comes out, and they pulled that back. They retracted that. The ex-Post reporter was hired by the propaganda machine, and he made the mistake of saying, giving out the truth out of the Situation Room, that a 32-team panel had been developed. And John Holdren, yes, the eugenics guy from Berkeley, was running the show. And I went off and did videos on that. Boy, did they pull back that propaganda. So they test the waters, and guys like me counter hard. And they're watching. Oh, I know for a fact they're watching. So how they've been able to do this, complete 100% gag order. Now you think about this. All my great sources, even with WHIP, same thing. You know, it's been reported that the NSA has a computer system that causes us all kinds of problems, even if we use the word Fukushima. You know, it's part of the system. It's part of the propaganda machine, but they use the New York Times, they use Washington Post, they use CNN, ABC, Reuters, BBC. They use them all. They pay them. Absolutely pay them to put these 1090, you know, Goffman told it in beautiful detail out of Berkeley when they used to have false equivalency professors there. You know, it's pretty sad when I was in San Francisco. Let's go to Berkeley and protest. Let's go to Berkeley and protest, and nobody will dare go on the campus. They're all afraid. Sorry, they'll shoot you, Kevin. Yeah, I mean, $40,000 a year to go there now, and they grandstand J. Robert Oppenheimer when J. Oppenheimer was anti-nuclear, and they have a J. Oppenheimer Foundation. Well, what they did to him, he hated Berkeley with a deep-rooted passion. It's just a propaganda machine, is all this is. So they put all of these little these little stupid reports. They just like this one. Here's the perfect example. Here a couple months ago, it was a giant story all over the world. Oh, the Fukushima evacuees have been let back in. They're able to go home for the first time, which was a total lie. It was one small area, one city. And I immediately countered. And says, you're talking only 90 people. And, you know, and so it was a huge story. CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, Reuters. It was a giant story. ABC, all of them. Oh, yeah, and people were like, oh, yeah, see, it's not that bad. Well, it gets disclosed yesterday that only 78 people went back. But CNN's not going to retract it or anything because they already gained what they needed to gain by releasing these headline stories in the 10-second soundbite, and people gobble them up. They know this. This propaganda machine knows this. They know this all about it. Now, remember Gregory Jacko, who was head of the NRC, who was in the Situation Room when this whole fight was developed, and he come out there aghast, and he resigned over this because he has a child. He knows the cover-up. Gina McCarthy, she doesn't care. She's, you know, on the winning team. She's head of the EPA now. She's one of the greatest criminals in human history. They don't care. They went in, and the ex-Japanese prime minister, remember they were out on the road, going to be anti-nuclear? Boy, they shut them up, didn't they? Anybody who says anything, look at Barbara Boxer's office. Look at all the great work she was doing. Wyden's office to me. This is what they're telling me. And I talk to them all the time. Barbara Boxer's aides telling me. These are the people ahead of these committees. I'm talking to them. I talk to them almost on a daily basis. They're so sick of hearing from me. Kevin, we can assure you that there are conversations going about Japan. There are hearings going about Fukushima Chan, but they've been pushed underground. The Patriot Act. That's right. The Patriot Act, which destroyed the Constitution from time and all eternity until it could be overturned, which it can't be overturned because we've got a dogma, retarded, mentally ill, sicko Congress. They can't get anything done. The Patriot Act, it backdoored all due process. So because nuclear waste is nuclear weapons. So they're able to do it. They push it all under. I was scheduled to be in D.C. in September of 2013. When I went to, I timed that with the Megan Rice hearing. Then boom, I get an email from Barbara Boxer that says, Kevin, the public hearings that we pushed for because we want the San Onofre executives of PG&E to go to jail. I'm the one that exposed that from my hospital room. I was getting stuff leaked to me from inside San Onofre. They know I've been fighting San Onofre for years and years and years. I was the one sending it to the media in Southern California. But they were lying. By the way, PG&E executives lied to the NRC in public. which is a felony. We've been pushing Barbara Rock. We want them in jail. We want public hearings. So we got them. We pushed for them, pushed for them all summer long, all spring long for 2 years. We got them. Then boom, we get an email. Oh, they're going to have them, Kevin, but they've been pushed underground under the Patriot Act, which everything. And I'm like, well, what's the use? Without the fourth pillar, the media, and this has been said by every person in power since the inception of this country. What's the difference in America? The fourth pillar, the First Amendment. Yeah. Without the media, we have nothing. And as I said, as I stood and gave that iconic speech in front of the White House at the Million Masked Man March, I said, you never in your lifetime ever think that it would be so dangerous to tell the truth. To tell the truth is to die. Michael Hastings, Aaron Swartz, Pat Tillman. To lie and cheat and thieve and steal is to be an oligarch god. Without the fifth pillar, we have nothing. We have nothing. And our last line of defense was anonymous. I woke a sleeping giant. They didn't know. Anonymous knows now. I did awake a sleeping giant. You know, we're trying. We are fighting, and we are trying. But the American populace is so postured and groomed and so gone because they're overworked. So they're working 65 hours a week. They don't have time to read a book. They don't have time to dive into the subject matter. It's 10-second soundbite because they're stressed out wrecks. Look at them. So that's why the cover-up machine's working. I can break down the cover-up to Fukushima, to economics, again, to tariffs. You're overworked. You're working 2 jobs. You're getting up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning to chase your tail to go in further and further debt. You don't have time to dive into subject matter like this. When in the 60s and 70s and 50s, we did have time. And people did read books, and they dug into these things. And remember this, the Environmental Act of, 1971 passed Congress 333-1, I believe. That was far sweeping. This country had a social, moral conscience when it came to the environment. To be an environmentalist was to be not just in vogue, was the real deal. Not now. Because you've been postured and groomed because you don't have time. You believe in the 10-second soundbite. So there's no doubt in my mind they've been in there in too many with hundreds of thousands of men. And they're dying. I hear a report over 10,000 are already dead. I think that's probably accurate. I think it's probably true. And, you know, we're going to look back. Mark my words, we'll look back 5, 10 years from now. Now, is it a life-ending extinction event? I don't believe so, and I've never said that. But I believe it is a genocide event, and people are co-op with the word genocide. They don't even know what the word genocide means. Now, the American Indian was genocide. Native Americans, they still exist. Jews were genocide. They still exist. The Armenians were genocided by the Turks. By the way, Barack Obama says, I'm going to use the word genocide on the Armenian genocide. Because all he did was tell you what you wanted to hear, and when he got elected, he got schooled. He found out who the powers there be in this country are. And if you don't think I'm telling the truth, think about his Secretary of Energy the first 4 years. Think about who it is the second 4 years. He got schooled. Hey, look, we're the nuclear cartel. We put you in office. You do what we say. Sit down and shut up. Congress makes law in this country, not presidents. Congress. And it is representative government. Congress is gone. Dogmatic. They jerry-rig the districts. You know, it's a disaster. The cover-up has worked. Hook, line, sinker. I would have never believed it. That man went into Chernobyl in the early 90s. Everybody says, oh, God, you know, and woke Europe up. Those beautiful young Russian girls took their shirts off because it was the beautiful young Russian girls that were dying from Chernobyl. That poster that she holds up with topless is in Chernobyl. I think it's the most powerful piece of activism I've ever seen in my entire life. And the sign says, killed by peaceful nuclear energy. They were all dying. Them young, beautiful Russian girls were all dying. One of them in the hospital with me. Died when I was in there. And if you don't believe this is a spiritual fight, remember this. I was given 2 months to live 32 months ago. My intense spirit fought this back. I had a dream right before I got cancer. A really utopic dream. It's complex, but both my doctors, the doctor who stepped in and overrode was Danish philosophy, Dr. Hansen, my Danish blood roots. He knew my family. If it wasn't for my last name, I would have been dead. He knew my anti-nuclear thesis. He looked right at me in the eyes when these guys are saying, Kevin, go home and die. They're going to gut you. You're done. And I'm like, no, I found a YouTube video with 14 views talking about the slicing and how many times they get it wrong on tumors in the lower right mesentery, which my leukemia presented in tumors. It happens more than you think. And the only way to really know if you're sick, the only way to know is a bone marrow biopsy. They go into your hip. Yeah, they hurt, but it's waiting for the results that really hurt. I had a lot of them. They're, so scary, so overwhelming. It's the only way to know. And any of you people that have to have one, or think maybe you have leukemia or whatever, I give my phone number. I will fight for you till the day I die. Do not give up hope, even if that bone marrow biopsy comes back negative and bad. Yeah, it's your worst nightmare the day they tell you have leukemia. It's so emotional. I don't think anybody can even understand what I went through. And it's all on YouTube. My YouTube videos no justice for it. It was so hard. It was so hardcore. These last 30 months have been so scary and so hardcore. I know the survival rate is almost zero. I know what the Hail Mary treatment is. I know what it is, and I went through it. My fight has been so epic. The pain inside that hospital, my spirituality, who I held on to. I dramatically held on to. In an epic, epic way. Dr. Vincent Hansen, I'll never forget it. He's an old man. He said, Kevin, both my brother and my father died of thyroid cancer. When you go off and carry on that, and he listened to my lectures, and he understood me. He knew me. He knew my family. He says, we're all downwinders. You're so right. I know that, Kevin. And he says, your uncle was my old business partner. You remind me, and by the way, he was really my dad's cousin. He didn't even really like me. But I think we had the same Danish philosophy mind. Our real last name would be Anderson or Mickelson. The Blanch name is adopted, like so many in Utah are. But that philosophy in medicine that they have is listen to your subconscious, listen to your soul. And I listened to my subconscious, and I listened to my soul. No, this is not a carcinoma cancer metastasized in my liver. This does not make sense to me. What about it being leukemia developing? Vincent says, let's bone marrow biopsy you right now. He bone marrow biopsied me. And he's like, God, it's still kind of inconclusive, but I think maybe you're right. He says, I'm so glad you never, these guys are wrong. And he overrode the path. He overrode everybody and sent me down there. And then Finbo Peterson, right from Copenhagen, Denmark, University of Washington, the Hickman line that went in my jugular vein, he was involved with Hickman, who designed that. The greatest breakthrough in cancer treatment ever, this incredible unit, which the LDS Church does not own it. I landed in. I read 10. So critical, I don't know how I was alive. I don't know how I survived in there. I really don't. But my activism kept going while I was in extremely radical and critical condition. I fought, and he overrode everybody. And he said, Kevin, you hang on to that dream. Your subconscious will tell you. If you listen to that subconscious, it will tell you whether you're going to live or die. And it was telling me I was going to live. He says, you hang on to it, you spiritual, and you fight. He overrode everyone. It's automatic, a bone marrow transplant. And he says, I've been around for a long time, Kevin. I don't think I'm not sure that bone marrow transplant's going to work on you. And it's all or nothing. A guy named Brian Moore, same thing 5 years ago, sent him home to die, and he did not die. He says, hang on, maybe let's walk this walk. And I've done it without a bone marrow transplant, without medicine for the last 2 years. It's been my spirit. The cover-up of Fukushima is working. It is exactly Chernobyl. Who would have ever believed it? I would have never believed it. I thought that was the end of the nuclear cartel. They told us, when I fought this so dramatically in the 70s, when 80-something% of Americans were anti-nuclear. 1982, the protests in Central Park, the protests all over, I was there. By the millions. This whole country was anti-nuclear, the whole world. How did that happen? I'll tell you how it happened. The IAEA, the World Health Organization, the UN spent $4 billion. $4 billion on the cover-up of Chernobyl. By 1986, then Chernobyl happens. 82, 86. Whoa. That's when they woke up. Now remember this. The World Health Organization UN will tell you that Chernobyl killed 4,400 people. When we know factually detailed, it killed well over 40 million. Probably kills hundreds of thousands a year every year. Alina is perfect example. She is the iconic story. The world-class tennis player that just passed away of liver cancer. She was born in Chernobyl. or in Ukraine. We're going to turn into the Ukraine here in the United States. Is it a genocide event? Yes, absolutely. The CDC is already posturing and grooming for us, saying, get ready, the cancer epidemic. And you say, oh, there's a cure. There's not for leukemia, AML. That's the cancers, MS, autism, all these broad spectrum killers from hell that just desecrate human beings, annihilate they're your worst nightmare. The day they tell you have leukemia, I'm here to tell you it's your worst nightmare. Takes all your resources, every dime you've ever worked for, takes your dreams, takes your future, takes your hopes. They're gone. It's over. There's a line drawn in the sand. Your life is over as far as what you've reached for in your life. Your education, the years of your hard work that you go forward for, your 401k, everything that you work for. It's over. That's what America's going to be. You're going to see a cancer genocide event. It's going to grow and grow and grow and grow. Now, we're getting better at saving people. Yeah, I mean, I'm alive. You know, I have a lot of hope. You know, medicine's come miles, but the problem is most doctors are pieces of shit. I'm going to sue these fuckers for malpractice. I had doctors actually tell me there was nothing wrong with me. I mean, tumors wrapped around my lower bowel didn't restrict my diet. I don't know how my bowel didn't rip. Up from 170 to 130. So much epic pain. And these malpractice, because I didn't have insurance. Sent me home, but I had money. I fought down my freaking stock market and says, dude, that's the way it works. It's all in. That's what's going to happen. The cover-up of Fukushima has worked, and it's going to, you know, it's going to play out just like Chernobyl. They think. I don't think. That's why I call it the calm before the storm. Fukushima is much more than Chernobyl. And to think they can just play this game and kick the can and cover it up, just like they have the economy, you know, an $18 trillion reading debt. It's not going to end pretty. I believe that there's going to be an event. I've said that. Whether it's an explosion in Fukushima, whether it's a building falling down, I believe there's going to be something. I've always felt that we're going to get an insider. We're going to get a nuclear Snowden. Now, Snowden says that the Guardian has his work, that he has a nuclear option. I believe what he has is nuclear. I believe what he possesses is the cover-up of Fukushima. I believe that he has it. I believe there's people out there that have it, but remember, he's in Russia. Now, if he'd have landed in Spain and they would have protected him, or Italy, they would have protected him, yeah, he could have come out, but Russia's just as pro-nuclear as we are. The royals, the plutonium wars, the Chinese royals, the Russian royals, the American royals, the British, they're all the same inbred family, just like 100 years ago. It's not world order, it's old world order. It's a feudal system. We fought back against it, and then Reagan gets in, and 30 years of going back, which we blame Reagan, we blame Bush, we blame Clinton, we blame all those things. Those are just words. Really, it's Congress, and Congress is representative government. The propaganda machine, the media, that's who's to blame. The fourth pillar, that's who's to blame. Ourselves for not critically thinking, just like all these guys are heroes coming back from wars. No, they're not heroes. They're victims. They got to have a job. They're victims. We're all victims. There are going to be so many victims from Fukushima in North America, not Japan. Look, the wind was blowing out. They made the decision to dump water on day 6 and push into the Pacific Ocean. It's been pushed into the Pacific Ocean the entire time. Now, we see pockets and acute situations. We'll see the starfish die. We'll see them come back. We'll see sea lions die. We'll come back. That's the way it works, because the Pacific Ocean is not a bathtub. That's why I said stay in tune from the beginning, because we know it's pockets. Now, I presented my data, the KOK international team, which, by the way, that piece of shit his name is on that study. He's another propagandist. He's an opportunist. Like Helen Caldecott, they are opportunists. Chris Buzzy, they're opportunists. They're war profiteers. He's just playing whatever he can, groomed for money. He blew all Wood Hole's money. Now he's blowing more money. And he just plays the party. Now, this early study, which I posted over and over and over, says the radioisotopes by the international team, which was dozens and dozens, which got leaked to me before it even became public. Berkeley leaked it to me, and I read it online. Now it's all over out there. It said 1,000 times the radioisotopes of the normal background level, 25 miles off the coast of Fukushima. Their conclusion, that it is already in the current, June of 2011. 1,000 times. So it's not pockets. So you don't know, nobody's inspecting our fish that comes in. Now, Nobody suspected anything in the United States. Now, this needs to be said. This is very, very important. It needs to be documented in history. Congress was their psycho first thing came in March of 2011 when the ridiculous debate was going on. And the Foxconn News had to have a sacrificial lamb. We're debating that, the billions of dollars we spend on Bob, the trillions of dollars we spend on nuclearism, Price Anderson, just billions and trillions we throw at it. They needed a sacrificial lamb that came right down to it. And I'm the first one that started saying, they want to kill Bert and Ernie. Pull the plug on PBS, which got the plug pulled on anyway because they allowed the Koch brothers to start funding them, or cut food inspection. That's what it came to, $10 million out of food inspection. When right after Fukushima, when food inspection, we should have hired hundreds, if not thousands of people. Decreased it by tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Yeah, that's the sacrifice. $10 million, the price of one bomb, out of a multi-trillion-dollar budget. They cut $10 million out of food inspection. March 2011. I mean, wow. So, you don't know. We don't know. I surely don't. I've never claimed to know. I've never claimed to know. Now, I've had plenty of data leaked to me that I don't read because I can't confirm because it's so dramatic. I've had data showing plutonium in Monterey Bay from the first 60 days, first 90. Now, there's been a lot of pressure on me to read this online. I'm a whistleblower at Berkeley, I think. I don't know if it, because it's showing plutonium in the plankton, in the fish. But I don't report it because it's too dramatic and I cannot confirm my source. I don't ever report anything without confirming my source. And I used to have great sources. I don't have any sources anymore. They're all gone because the propaganda, they shut it down in Japan. The one professor I used to report to me dramatically is in prison. A lot of them I think are dead. Now you think about that. America's in denial that, the fake Christians, the evangelicals, the Mormons, they're devils. This cover-up is so epic, and so America's just accepted. Oh, the new norm, I'm going to die of cancer. I've watched it. I was head of our support group. They kicked me out because a bunch of young people were in there dying, and I'm like, hey, there was a guy that worked at one of the reactors for Exelon in Illinois. He was dying. I said, you have 16 times higher chance of dying of leukemia if you work at a nuclear reactor. Now, by the way, all you people that live in San Clemente, do you understand your incident of leukemia? You know how many incidents have been at San Onofre? I'm the one that's been reporting this from day one. I'm the one that was the lead on getting San Onofre shut down. Joni Ray can confirm this. When we went in there and proposed it, hundreds of people came up to me, wanted their picture taken with me. San Onofre had accidents. They had an accident. They had multiple accidents. Your incident of dying of cancer, if you live in San Clemente, is so gigantic. There are hotspots all over the United States. I'm in there, and this guy's, he's only in his 50s. He's about 60 years old. He's dying of leukemia. I says, oh no, nuclear anti. Why he's dying? Same with here, Provo, Utah. BYU, one of the cancer hotspots of the world, 350 over there. A girl comes in there. She's got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and AML leukemia at the same time, which I had both at the same time, which they go hand in hand. And you got them both, your chances of survival are almost zero. I'm like, get ready, girl. You're in the fight of your life. She just gone in, had her central line put in there. These free radicals go crazy. You don't have time to do alternative medicine. These things can take off 33% of your body mass in as short as 3 days. Where it goes is beyond me. I got up one morning, the pigment out of my eyes is gone. My eyes were gray like the Great Salt Lake in the fall, or in the spring. It ate me alive, and I was in good shape. You can watch it on, you look at some back of these YouTube videos, I'm like, oh my God, look at me. Holy shit. But I kept my militant fight going, and I'm going to keep it going in a dramatic way. I'm feeling better. Dr. Finbo Peterson gave me the good news 2 weeks ago. He says, Kevin, I've been around a long time. Your story is unbelievable. My 40-year on college, you are unbelievable. What you've been able to do through your spirituality, your intense fight, because my mind turned on to this vigilant fight in a spiritual way, in a truthful, thoughtful way, in an honest way, to fight back on not the causation, the core, the roots. Fukushima has not been contained. Just because the propaganda machine has worked, and it has worked, lock, stock, barrel, hook, it's Chernobyl all over again, but times it by hundreds of times. Fukushima is thousands of times Chernobyl. Have they got in there and entombed it? No. And I'll tell you how I know that all the corium did not blow up in 1, 2, and 3. Part of it did. There's no doubt. And then 4, I reported as 4 full quote downs the first few days. I didn't wait some damn FOIA document. By the way, I own the rights to Plumegate. I had that fucking long before anybody, these, you know, Tony and these guys come out with Plumegate, long before he was even knew what Fukushima was. I was reporting it. I knew that the pool's cracked. I reported this 4 meltdown for a long time. I was the only one even reporting one meltdown. One. For months and months and months and months. Just me. By myself. And then Jan Brooks and Christina Radchick. It was us. It was us 3. Jules, right here from this radio show. Jules and Christina's incredible hard work in the early days. I mean, historically accurate? Oh, big time. I'll tell you how I know that China Syndrome is going on over there. Okay, all summer long they reported the TEPCO wells, the exponential spikes in the tritium levels. We're getting exponentials all summer long, all fall long, being reported. That's the direct byproduct of China Syndrome. Now, Einstein, when he said the most powerful concept on Earth is compounding, he was not talking about your bank account. He was talking about China Syndrome, nuclear fission. He was talking about nuclear fission. Now, we know that tritium spikes in an exponential dramatic way, which went on all summer was reported, which, by the way, we got plumed again in July of 2013 over the top of it. We got hit again in October of, I believe, 24th. The earthquake that happened on the 24th of October in Japan, they were unloading fuel in 5 and 6, and it spilled all over. Why? The camera was on number 4. Number 4 is I like these guys coming about the number 4 and obsessed with that scam a year after the fact. It's just like now. I want to talk about the corium blow up 3 years after the fact when I was talking about it the day that it happened. I reported in incredible accurate detail. I reported how the cover-up was going to work through the media. I reported it. I'm like, they're not going to pull it off. We need to go after them. I begged for attorneys. Nothing. So really, whose fault is it? We as an American populace, yeah, we got active. There's a lot of activists been born out of here, but they're few and far between. The people, you know, it's like people with huge chunks of money. Well, take your money with you. Maybe you can buy your way to heaven, you know. You leave it in a foundation. Just remember this. A woman left, I think, $10 million to Wood Holes in her endowment to study radiation in the ocean. Ken from Wood Holes blew all the money, all of it. He just lived on it. He's lived hot. Now he's blowing it. Now he's in California begging for more money. He's a fraud. So you leave your money, you set up a foundation, that money's never going there. The Ralph Nader people that I stayed with in D.C., the Beyond Nuclear, they just blow it. They're not real activists. They're war profiteers. I'm a real activist. You know, we join together and we fight this because we're the only ones that are telling this in truth. Jan Brooks, Christina, Dana, so many great vloggers, Nimble Magic, so many people have done so. We're it. We're it. Honestly, we're it on Earth. On Earth. Without us, this story's not told. Just like Chernobyl, without FEMN, it's not told. Now we all know the story of Chernobyl. Well, we kind of do. That it killed hundreds of thousands of people in the section, the workers that went. None of us knew that. None of us. Even me, as a hardcore anti-nuclear, I remember talking to Megan Rice about it, and Madeline Rice, clear back in the 90s, in the Nevada test site. That's where I met Megan. Through a FEMN girl. Even we didn't understand how dramatic Chernobyl, even to this day, because the propaganda machine think about it. They have all the wealth, they have all the power. The World Health Organization, the UN, Price Anderson. In Congress, they have Congress, by law. The hijacked Supreme Court, they're not going to overturn anything. We'll talk more about this on Tuesday to cover it. We're going to stay on this. Fukushima is ongoing. It's going to be a genocide event. It's going to kill hundreds of millions of people from cancer. Get ready for the cancer epidemic because it is here and it is on. Cancer, the new norm. We're going to die from Fukushima, and you accept. I'm not accept. I won't accept cancer as death. I fight back.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Boomgate, 3